Thanks for tuning in to the Prime Bookseller Podcast, the bi-weekly podcast discussing all things Amazon bookselling.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Prime Bookselling Podcast. We're kicking off a question segment this week, and I love this question because it's one of these questions that's extremely common among Amazon sellers and is just really not relevant in a way. So what the question is how do I train an employee, train a book sourcer and not a competitor? And the way I take this question is to mean that if I teach somebody else how to source books on Amazon, they're just going to take off, go start their own business, and they're going to do it on their own. And this is something that I hear all the time from people. And the simple fact of the matter is that this is just not something you need to worry about. So to answer the question, how do you train somebody to be a book sourcer and not a competitor? There is nothing you can teach them that's going to make them not become your competitor. But you would just have to realize that if you train 99 people on how to source books, one will maybe give it a try at doing it themselves. And of the one that, out of all the people that try it, it's going to take 10 ones before one actually sticks with it. So what I'm saying here is that you don't have to come up with a bulletproof system to make sure that your employees can't steal your business idea from you, because the simple fact of the matter is that yes, there are going to be people out there that will possibly take the knowledge you give them and go do something of their own with it, but that is so rare that if it does happen, all you do is move on to the next employee. And keep in mind that out of 10 people that start an Amazon business, like legitimately start the business and are working within that business, all those people, like probably 92% of them fail. So yes, you may be training potential competitors, but most of them are going to fail anyway, so it does not matter to you. What I want to take from this episode is that by bringing somebody on to help you, you are not putting your business at risk. I mean, the amount you're putting your business at risk is so minimal because there's such a small chance that somebody will actually go out and do what you're doing. And depending on how you're sourcing, even if they go do it on their own, it still might not affect you because if you're online sourcing, what does it matter? So the big thing I don't want to beat this one down because I feel like it's a question that needs to have a podcast episode, but there really isn't a whole lot to this question because to me, this is not a risk. This is something that people look at and they panic about. And when you understand the way all this stuff works, it doesn't matter. I mean, think about any job that you take. They teach you things. You could potentially take the knowledge that they teach you and go start a business with it. Do employers worry about that? No, because if you do that, they're going to just put somebody else in the position that you're in and let you go try to start your business. And I mean, once again, 98% of people probably fail on their business within the first 5 years. So, I mean, the risk there is so low that why would you even worry about it? Why would you invest your time into worrying about this when the likelihood of it is happening is just not very likely at all? And I can tell you from my experience, so currently I only have like 3 people that help me within my business today. But at one point in time, we were much larger and we had the business model was extremely different. And we had like 20 people doing stuff for us. And in that time of doing that, I never once, I think I had one person dabble with the idea of doing it themselves, but nobody else even considered it. So the moral of this story is that as much as this seems like it could be a risk, it is not. And I think the best way to understand this is to realize that think about your business. You have gone down, you're out there, you're trying to pursue this Amazon bookselling business, and think of all the resources that are out there for you, all the things that you found to teach you about this podcast, other podcasts, Facebook groups, whatever resources you're using to learn about Amazon bookselling, YouTube, all of these things exist out there. Anybody can go and do them. Yet, how many, unless you're connected within like an existing bookseller group or something, like step away from all those sources of booksellers that how many people outside of your bookselling circle do you know that sell books? And the chances are pretty good you don't know anybody. Maybe you know one person or something. Maybe you have a friend that turned you onto this, and well, you could consider that person the one person you know. But the point of the fact is that despite all the resources that are out there, people don't do this. They're not doing this. I mean, there are people doing this because you're doing this, but the vast majority of people are not doing it. It's not on their radar. They're not even considering it. So the chances of you going out into your local area, finding somebody that is looking for a side gig that could make them a little bit of extra money, teaching them how you source books, and having them source books for you, more than likely that person, they are looking for part-time income that gives them a little bit of extra money so they have a little bit of spending money or whatever. You are accomplishing that by giving them this sourcing position. And 98% of the people that get into that position, they're happy. They solve their problem. And they are never going to take it beyond the square of, well, if he's doing this, I can do this. They just don't do that. And so this is something you don't need to worry about. And I am not telling you that it will never happen. I am just going to tell you that the percentage of time that it's going to happen is going to be extremely low. I mean, unfortunately, if you hire over the life of 10 years in your business, you hire 50 people, maybe 2 of them will strike out and try to do their own thing. And of those 2, at least one of them is going to fail. Probably both of them. So when you look at it from the construct of creating a competitor, you're not really creating a competitor because, yes, sourcing is a critical role to running an Amazon business, but it's not the only role. And if you teach somebody how to source, yes, they might be able to go out and buy the same books you buy, but they have no idea how you list them. They have no idea how you sell, how you reprice them. All these different elements, they have no idea how the Amazon platform even works. So there is so many barriers beyond that they have to get beyond before they can even become your competitor, that it is not something that I think anybody should worry about. If you are at a position where you can make your hire, if you want to be conservative, if you say, I need 10 people right now to help me, I have that bandwidth to scale that I can source enough books that I could fill the day of 10 people going out and sourcing. Great. If you want to be conservative, start with 1 and just see what happens. But I promise you, as you go through and after your second or third employee of adding somebody to help you out, you're just going to forget about this question ever existing, because you're just going to see that it is not of a concern. It's so rare that somebody's going to jump in and become a competitor to you that you just stop thinking about it. So if you're at that point where you're thinking about bringing on a sourcer, but you're afraid to do it because you don't want to create a competitor, please reach out to me. Let's have a conversation, because I'd like to help you work your way through those concerns, because just from my perspective in the years that I've done this, I realize that this concern is not really a valid one. It is a very common one, and it is like, if you're feeling that right now, that is completely normal. You are making a mistake, but it's a mistake that everybody makes, because that's where everybody's head goes to immediately, because I don't know, that's kind of like the way we're conditioned or something. But it's really not a concern, because in the end, when you're an Amazon seller, you're still starting a business, and starting a business is a very, very, very high hurdle for a lot of people. There are a lot of people out there that can't wrap their head around spending money to make money. Like why would I spend $100 to make $200? Why don't I just go get a job and make $100? So this is a very minimal concern. And the biggest thing I want everybody to take from this episode as we wrap it up is just that if you're at that point where you're thinking about getting that first employee, go out and just hire one, because I promise you'll realize quickly into this process that, the harder part of getting an employee is getting one that's good for your business, that does a good job, blah, blah, blah. And maybe we'll do an episode at some point on that, because I feel like I've also learned a lot in that realm as well. But it's not them stealing your business or becoming a competitor to you. It's just getting the right person, to be honest with you. And that other part, there's nothing you can really do to control that, unless you just don't teach them anything within your business. And if you don't teach them anything within their business, they're probably pretty useless to your business. So there's nothing much you can do, but you also don't really need to worry about that aspect, because that's not even really a concern. It's like a blip on the radar. You have way bigger fish to worry about than the fact that your employee might turn into a competitor. So I know that was short and sweet, but I just wanted to get that question out there, because I know there's got to be somebody on the other side of this microphone that is thinking that right now. So I just wanted to address it and kind of nip it in the butt and say, stop worrying about it. Just go get that employee and you'll see it's not that big of a deal. So with that, we'll wrap this episode up. I want to thank everybody for their continued support of this podcast, and we will be back in 2 weeks with another episode. As always, we do have a number of sourcing programs and that we offer to Amazon booksellers. So if you're an existing Amazon bookseller looking to get into getting some more books to your store, check out the show notes or head over to Kings Ridge Media. There are links. If you go to Automation or KRM Wholesale, there are links that you can set up an appointment with me. We can talk about and see if we can help your business. As well, we are running a special promotion right now that if you are very, very new to this Amazon bookselling game, but are just trying to get off the ground, but are looking for somebody to work with, just to have your questions answered, and you don't have to go out to a Facebook group and ask a question and then get yelled at by 50 people for asking a question that you could just go to YouTube and find a video for. We're offering an opportunity right now to have one-on-one support with myself for 10 people to get your Amazon store set up and running, get a repricer attached to it and a listing software. And depending on how it goes, we may even go into a little basic setup of how some options that we have that you could do for sourcing. So if you would be interested in doing that, if you go to kingsridgemedia.com, if you look across the top of the page, there'll be a section for the Just Basics. Click on Just Basics. It might be The Basics or Just Basics, one of the two, whatever it is. Click there. Go down, sign up for the mailing list. That mailing list just sends you a bunch of actionable tips about Amazon every few days. Great content. If you're new to the business, you should be reading every one of those emails, because it just gives you a little bit of insight that you might not have known. But if you sign up for that mailing list, there will be a link to book a time with me to learn about that service as well. That one is completely 100% free. As of now, we are only offering it to 10 people. The intent is, though, that as soon as we get 10 people in, we get them signed up, we get them all set up and everything and rolling, we will open that back up and allow it for 10 more people. So if you're interested in that service, jump over, get on that mailing list, and look for the first email. We'll have a link that you can book a time with me. And if there are any issues with that, please let me know. Just send me an email, sales@kingsridgemedia, and we can get you set up as well that way. So we'll see you on the next episode, and thanks everybody for the support.
Thanks for listening to the Prime Bookseller Podcast. Join us for the next episode as we discuss all things Amazon bookselling.